Good evening, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Inside the Pigskin. The only thing is this is a special Inside the Pigskin, and the man of the hour, or whatever time we have, is going to be Torri Harmon. But before I go on there, I just want to let everybody know that the audio version of Inside the Pigskin can be heard on iHeartRadio, Apple, Spotify, Google, wherever you get your podcast. Also, please hit the red subscribe button on YouTube South Florida Tribune. We're striving for 1,000 subscribers. Please also comment, like, and share the broadcast. Want to be a guest? No problem. Send topic ideas to South Florida Tribune at gmail.com, or you can participate in the chat room as well. And if you want to advertise, feel free to call cost efficiently. Call me at 954-304-4941. We are live on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, and YouTube. And of course, my Twitter information is at Tribune South. As I said, we have a great broadcast lined up, and the man of the broadcast here is Torri Harmon. So, Torri, what I want you to do here before I introduce the crew is give everybody a brief overview of you, and then I'll turn it over, and then we'll start asking some questions.
All right, well, my name is Torri Harmon. I'm a sports performance coach at House of Athletes in Western Florida with Brandon Marshall, Troy Jones, and Rose. Definitely train pro-level guys, college-level guys, all-level guys, mostly. Just all football for us that I have to do. So definitely here to appreciate that and get that work in with these players.
Very good. Well, you know what? Let me go out there and introduce the crew right to left. Smoking Jeremy B, who's going to be on with me on 2 shows tonight. Ready to go for our doubleheader, Jeremy?
Always ready and raring. Love to talk sports.
That's what I like about you. You're there. You're Iron Jeremy. Okay. Well, we might have to just remove Smoking Iron Jeremy B, and because he's with me wherever I need him, thankfully. All right. Also, my actual co-host tonight is Mel Farr Jr. Mel, welcome back.
Hey, great to be back.
Where you and I are going to have a busy week, too. We have one tonight, one tomorrow. And last but not least, Jacob Christner, known for Basket Bros, as well as Pundit's Pundit. Torri will be featured on Pundit's Pundit on Wednesday night at 8 o'clock Eastern time on Sideline Sports. So Jacob, obviously, will definitely be one of those guys you'll see a lot more of, particularly on Monday nights. Welcome to the broadcast, Jacob.
Thank you. And Torri, the one thing about Pundit's Pundit is you're a little bit different because we're usually a topic show, but we have one topic that night. It's the Bill Walsh, you know what I mean? The Bill Walsh, the minority, coaching, diversity, whatever. I'm sorry. but it's like it's going to be one topic. We're going to be talking all about it. And and that's the way we go with it. We're going to be proud to have you.
I appreciate it. I'm happy to be on with you.
All right, well, let's get to it. We have a doubleheader tonight following this broadcast, Sports Exchange, and we'll have a new guest on tonight. Former Detroit Lions coach John Bonamego will join us, and Jeremy B., George Eichhorn, and I will have the opportunity to talk to Coach John, and he's looking forward to coming on as well. What do I do on my weekends? We set these bad boys up. That's what I do. Poor Torri, he's probably got cauliflower ears listening to me all weekend, but he's used to it, so it doesn't make any difference anyways. All right, let's get down to it. Torri, let's talk about landing the job with the Kansas City Chiefs as a coach. Explain to me that the fact that Andy Reid called you about this thing, and he obviously located you through the Bill Walsh Diversity Internship Program. So, let's go ahead and break down how this all started.
Well, I can definitely break it down for you. Well, first of all, I want to thank God for this opportunity right here to be with the Super Bowl champs, first and foremost. But first of all, let's get to the nitty gritty. It all started with the legendary John Wooden. Mr. Wooden has been my mentor and advisor for the last couple of years, and he's kind of reached out to several people, and he's kind of he old school, and when they don't kind of respond or reply, he start wondering what's really going on. You know what I mean? So the crazy part is I sent the email to Andy Reid AFC Championship week, and he actually responded back. And he told me he was going to follow back up with me once everything settled down. And on that note, Mr. Wooden sent them a text and added me in it with them. And he responded back to text, and he told me he was going to give me a call. So once he finally settled down after the combine and everything, because I was actually supposed to go back to the combine but didn't make it this year. But when he got back and settled down, he gave me a text and then he gave me a call. And then once we talked for a second, it was very kind of just honoring talking to the man, Coach Andy Reid, so profound. And he's definitely going to be in the Hall of Fame, once he's done. But he was telling me that he saw the diversity in me. He wanted me to be able to come and help me out and see what we can, what positions I can, go for with Kansas City. So once he passed my information on to his assistant, Mr. Dan Williams, Coach Dan Williams as well, Father Ted Williams. Me and him kind of talked for a little while, and he told me he had something open for running backs. The actual running back coach right now is Todd Pigskin. He was with Andy Reid as a receiver when he was in Philadelphia. He was actually on the Bill Walsh minority diversity coaching last year with Kansas City with him. So now he's the actual running back coach. But once I talked to him, he was like, he'll love for me to come in because he knows the system and he knows running backs, but he don't know no running backs. So that's one reason why I'm happy to be able to go on, because I feel like it'll be a permanent position there.
Very good. Yeah, that's pretty. So Todd Hingston, tell me a little bit more about Todd Hingston.
Todd Pigskin. He actually played receiver. He played his college ball at Southern Miss. He was actually in Southern Miss when I was at Memphis at the time. He was drafted by Philadelphia and Andy Reid as well. He played several years with them. So I guess he wanted to just kind of get back into coaching, get back in the groove. So he did the Bill Walsh last year. And so now he's a permanent coach with Coach Reid as well. So I'm just hoping to go in there, learn from him, learn from Coach Reid, learn from Coach Williams, and help build this and get another championship. I want to get a ring with him. You know what I mean?
Right. All right. So let's talk about your background and what got you up to this point. I know I've had you on other platforms. So for people that are getting to know you for the first time, you can go into a little bit more of a detailed history of what your background is. Okay, Torri?
Okay. Well, my history it was football. It was football. I was a player. I was one of the players that was very good, but never got one chance. Never got my chance. The best I got in was with the Rams and with the Saints, and I got in, and then as soon as I got in, I got right back out. I learned the politics of the game, but I still had love for the game. So in the midst of that, of me training, a lot of the guys who played football, my friends and I played with, I actually wanted to train with me because I was so good at training, and they saw my work ethic, and I always kind of kept them on their toes. So I ended up training a lot of guys: Mike McKenzie, Reggie Howard, John Avery, and then my little brother ended up becoming a top running back at the University of Miami, which was Greg Cooper. I trained him all his life, and once he got to Miami, he did pretty good and he ended up getting hurt. I did an internship with Miami for a year. With Randy Shannon was there as well. And then I coached 8 years at Lane College, and I coached 1 year at Langston University. I had running backs, I had strength and conditioning, I was the head of everything. So I had my own room, I had the gym, so I had my players top notch. When I was at Langston, that was like my biggest obstacle right there, because they had a running back that was very good. If you ever heard of I think it's Dexter Jackson, the cornerback from Carolina. It was his older brother that was my running back. And he was troubled, but when I got there, they wanted me to kind of clean him up. So when I got there, kind of mentored him, coached him up, got him in shape. He ended up being Conference Player of the Year, having 1,300 yards and 15 touchdowns rushing. So once I finished with Langston, I left and moved down to South Florida. Once I got to South Florida, I coached with Chris Chambers and Channing Crowder at True Prep, which is Nova University, in high school. And we actually won a state championship that year that I coached with them. And even in the midst of that, I started with the RBA, the Running Back Academy, with Jerry Seymour. Me and Jerry hit it off pretty good. He saw somebody that had love in running backs as well as much as he did. So he offered me to work with him. So we worked over the years. And then my first client was Travis Etienne. So that was my first client with him in the running back academy. And then it went from Travis to Leonard Fournette to DeAndre Swift to Kareem Hunt. I mean, the list kind of goes on and on. I even had Blake Corum at Michigan right now. I had Braylon Allen at Wisconsin as well. We was actually doing a running back retreat this weekend with a combination of a lot of running backs as well, college and pro. We did that this past weekend, and it was good. And actually, like right now, as I'm being a sports performance coach at House of Athlete with Brandon Marshall, definitely been training a lot of guys right now. I had like 15 top college guys, ACC, SEC, Michigan as well. This past week and have them now. And the big name that I was working with as of right now probably will be Leonard Williams and Big Dexter Lawrence, who just signed that major contract, which I had this morning as well.
Okay, Jeremy, what I want you to do is obviously we're really delighted. We have a lot of people looking in. So, Jeremy, start from the top, go over all the chats. I'll get them up on the screen, but the chats are yours, and then we'll continue on.
These are people from my channel. I shared the show with
Okay.
it. This is Go Lions. What's happening? He says. Next up, Emmanuel Mosley. Any can coach me. I'm just ready to play. He says.
All right, we'll keep
I
rolling.
had to do some deciphering. Rico Beard says, Jeremy, tell him to hop on 97 won the ticket.
All right, well, Ralph Williams likes to come in. Hello, guys. Hello, Ralph. Hope all is well with you. Okay, we'll continue on. Keep it going, folks. We love it.
Detroit Lions from Goff is better than Patrick Mahomes. I heard a lighter. I heard a lighter go off just before that was typed.
He wasn't kidding.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's not.
I didn't know that this was an April Fool's joke, but okay, I guess I'm in the wrong month. All right, we'll keep it rolling. All right, stop the insanity. LOL. All right, never mind.
What's
David
up, Brew?
Montgomery. All right, go ahead.
David Montgomery, I'm ready to run in below zero weather. He also says, what he also says, don't forget you trained him also, Todd.
Yeah. All right, keep it rolling. All right, let's.
Hey, as a Bears fan, I love Monty, but what's he do to Detroit if he wants to go to below zero weather? He's in a dome.
All right, now here's a message from Jeremy to his people. We got to get that bad boy. Please search South Florida Tribune Sub to see all the podcasts I am a part of with my publisher, and don't be afraid to watch the other ones too. So, Jeremy B is certainly being featured on a lot of them, so he ain't gonna miss much. But this will just be another opportunity while we're live. You can access them a little quicker, so please sub on. Now, this name is familiar, Todd McShay. I guess we're getting people from everywhere. Well, I don't know about him.
His brother. And I can't understand that last part. He expounded upon that. I know his brother. He's my 289th ranked running back.
Todd, we need to get in touch, my friend. Look me up. We'd love to have you on here with this group.
Absolutely.
Okay. And also, Jeremy's a great publicist. Tune in here tonight at 9 p.m. Watch us talk with former Lions coach John Montemego. We're definitely looking forward to that one after the broadcast. And don't forget me. You trained me also. All right, there you go. So look at you, Torri. My goodness. I mean, we're getting it out there. Todd, please look me up if you're still on. Okay.
That's not the real Todd McShay.
What's that?
That's not the real Todd McShay. I can tell you
whatever. I like the name anyway. Still look me up.
Is that the real David Montgomery?
No.
I don't know. I would hope so, but probably not.
All right. Well, whatever. Real or not real, Todd. Look me up at Tribune South on Twitter. We can go from there.
Hey, I hope I love Monty. Monty was awesome.
I think he's going to do great here with our O-line, but that's another story.
Okay, so let's continue on. Okay, Torri, thought about working for the Super Bowl champion. I know you've expressed your thoughts and excitement about it. Please elaborate.
I mean, I'm still at all right now. To be out there with Patrick Mahomes, you know what I mean? The league MVP. to sit there and kind of, I hope I don't get stuck just watching sometimes, you know what I mean? But being able to work with these running backs and Jared McKinney, Pachenko, and the rest of the guys. The crazy part is Scotty, what's my man name? Well, I'm gonna say Jerrion Ely. Jerrion Ely was a free agent signed by Kansas City last year that I trained, up for his combine and everything else. So I already have a relationship with some of the guys, and I think it's Scotty. It's Sky Moore. Sky Moore. That's who I'm thinking about. Sky Moore actually trained in Tampa at House of Athletes, and me and him was talking at the combine last year before he got drafted, and we always kind of kept in touch as well. So it's definitely going to be interesting to be out here. I'm gonna kind of be in awe for a minute, but then once I get that groove, I'm on a mission. I'm on a mission to be there with Andy Reid for the rest of the time.
All right. Well, now we're going to take it a little bit back in terms of my relationship with Torri. He's 45 years old and has never quit. Why don't you explain the relationship, Torri, how you and I got together a few years ago? I mean, I know this is something we both take a lot of pride in. I brought him on an internet version of the radio version of the Sports Exchange, but we hit it off. We networked. That shows you how important networking is. But take it away, Torri. Obviously, we've had a lot of fun together, and we have a lot more in front of us.
Let me tell y'all about this man. This man gave me an opportunity when nobody else did. He allowed me to put my story out there. He had me feeling good the whole time. He always made me feel like I was at home. He'll talk to me. We laugh. He wanted to hear everything about me so he can put it out there. That's why I said I love this man. He does his job very well. I'm proud of him. Just to be a part. That's why when I got this internship, he was the first I called because I wanted him to be first because he allowed me to put everything out there. It's a feel good story. You don't quit. If you want your dream to come true, don't quit. And he inspired me not to quit. He pushed me. He kept putting me out there. He kept bringing me back on the show just so I can keep putting it out there to the viewers, to the people, and just so somebody can actually hear it one day. And now we've got to the point where Scott I'm going to Kansas City, and it's my first time putting it out there, and he no better man than I can put it out there with number one than Scott.
Thanks, Torri. Of course, your act number 2 will be Wednesday with Jacob and our crew there. All right, a couple more questions, and Mel Farr gets you. I'll hand the rock off to Mel Farr. Well, the thought of working with Patrick Mahomes in an offensive room.
Working with Pat Mahomes in the offensive room?
Yeah.
Oh, I want to see how smart he is. I want to see how smart, because I know how talented he is. I want to see how smart he is. Because the man, everything that I keep hearing, everything function in his head so quick, but it's so slow in his head. But into a lot of quarterbacks' head, it's very quick. It's like it's categorized in Patrick Mahomes' head about here, So I'm definitely ready to kind of talk football with him and see how he react, how he draw plays, how he be on the field. We know how he is on the field. He lethal. He lethal. He almost unstoppable. You know what I mean? And Coach Andy Reid put weapons around him so he can be more unstoppable. So I'm ready for this experience. And like I said, I'm going to be in it for the long run.
All right, you mentioned earlier in the show, Torri, that you work with the Miami Hurricanes as an intern. Is that correct?
Yes.
Right, and that's when you told me, well, that's good. A South Florida guy getting an opportunity to be an intern. I know Randy Shannon. The Hurricanes have had a difficult time keeping coaches for a while because the standards have been set so high. But I'm still glad you got the opportunity. One thing I want to talk about, and then I will turn it over to Mel Farr. Okay, Eric Bieniemy goes to Washington. Do you feel he'll eventually get a head coaching job?
Definitely. Now it's time for him to really shine. Right now I think Coach Bieniemy has been in the shadow of Andy Reid for a while. So now I think a lot of people want to see how he works on his own and building his own team and getting his own players together, being able to work with certain players. You know what I mean? So I definitely think within the next 2 or 3 years, he'll definitely be a top candidate for a head coaching position in the NFL.
All right. Now I'm going to turn it over to Mel. Go ahead, Mel.
Torri, it's extremely nice to meet you. Kind of, as far as Eric is concerned, it's kind of a double-edged sword there because Andy Reid has had some coaches that were offensive coordinators that have gone on to be head coaches. So I think Eric Bieniemy, it's a different situation, but I do feel he should get a head coaching job. When it will happen, I don't know. But just real quick, wanted to touch on a couple things. Number one, were you looking for an opportunity to get in the NFL as far as coaching is concerned? And the other thing for our audience that may or may not know or is not real familiar with the fellowship program, is that a paid program for you? Where you're actually going to get paid, or you just go in there and you just get an opportunity to be around other coaches and learn what it takes to be a position coach, and then move on from there?
Well, I'm gonna answer that one first. So basically, the diversity coaching program is basically on the NFL's dime. It's for you to learn, and I kind of feel like it's for people who coaches they haven't worked with you yet. So it's like they bring you in to see how you work and see if they want to bring you on and keep you on with them. So I just think it's a trial basis, for those 2 months of training camp and preseason. In my eyes, I actually just think that it's because I've never worked with anyone, and I'm pretty sure it's the same way. I've never worked with anyone, but I've been referred by several, including the legendary John Wooden. So putting me in a position just to see if I mesh with the coaches, be able to learn the system and teach the players as well and help out so they can try to win another Super Bowl. And that's what I'm looking for.
So was this actually, you were actually looking to get into the NFL as a coach? Is it something that you aspired to do?
I was looking to get in the NFL in anything. I ain't care if I had to fold towels, if I had to go pass towels to the players or whatever it needed, if I had to brush the kicking balls, you know what I mean? I was looking to be in the NFL. I wanted to be at the highest level, the best levels, to be able to go to the stadiums, go to the games, and be a part of the National Football League. I've been wanting to be a part of the National Football League since I was a kid. I wanted to be as a player. I had a small window as a player, and it didn't work out. And I wanted to push. I wanted to make myself so diversified and so lethal that I could never get another no. You can put me, I want to be an NFL scout. Let's say that first. I inspired to be an NFL scout. Amen. But I've coached for years just so I can stay humble, stay in the game, stay deep into the game, teaching, so forth, so on. I've been a head strength and conditioning coach. Now I'm a performance coach at House of Athletes. So any way that you allow me to get my foot in the door, I wanted to bust the door down. And that's one thing that I thank Andy Reid for actually saying. He was like, you look like a little Swiss Army knife. He said that I could use you at any department and you could do it. And that's what I wanted to be, put myself in a position to be, a Swiss Army knife. I eventually want to be a scout or a general manager, but if I have to get in by coaching, I'm fine with that.
That's good. I'm glad to hear it. Now, you said you've kind of stayed connected to the game. Are you a little concerned about being able to pick up the offensive terminology and things of that nature when you go to camp? You're going to get. You said you get to training camp, and you're going to have the preseason games that you're going to be there, and then so after that, then you're going to go back down to Florida and continue to do what you've been doing, or is there something else that you're working on?
I don't plan on coming back. Let's say I'm going in there to Kansas City with all intentions to stay. Stay. And no matter what costs, no matter what's going on, I'm going to stay. I'm in the process of packing up and moving. I'm putting it in God's hands, and I'm letting Him drive. So when it all boils down to the terminology is that what I want to get down. Football is fundamentals. And it's the same. All you have to do is, whatever somebody calls something, find it what you can relate it to, and then go from there. You know what I mean? So I want to basically learn everything about the running backs and their play calling and their motions and everything, because I'm pretty sure it's simple It's just what Andy Reid called it.
Right.
And then I want to, you know what I mean? So I don't have nothing to do with the checks, the receiver routes, or nothing. I just want to focus on the running back. So once I get that down, and
then you can venture out.
Exactly. Yeah. Once I get the running backs terminology down and the line protection, so I can know where these running backs supposed to be going, so they won't get Mahomes killed.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We don't need no boo-boos.
Yeah, that's the quickest way for you to lose your job.
Exactly. We don't need no boo-boos. So once I get that with the linemen, the running backs terminology down, the linemen, then I can work on the receivers. And once I put it all together, I'm gonna be
sky's the limit. The sky's the limit.
Come on, you got. Hold on. You got two running backs talking to each other. Would I expect you guys to have any saying otherwise? Come on.
The game has changed since we played. Obviously, it's a lot more, even more so than I played. I'm 12 years older than you, so it's changed a lot more than from when I played. It was a lot more running back oriented. Now it's more quarterback oriented, driven league. So the one thing that I found, and I've been away from the game for a long time. I coached my little nephew in football. We didn't do very good, but that was more coaching than kids. The terminology has changed. The route trees they've done really away with the route trees. They've gone more to concepts, which is fine. We did concepts when I was at UCLA. It's a lot more difficult because you have to, memorize, a certain phrase means an entire play is telling everybody what to do. Whereas the route tree, that kind of broke it down as to what everybody was supposed to do. So you said you kind of been attached to it, kind of haven't been attached to it. The terminology, I coached here at the NFLPA. We had opportunity to help some guys. This was a couple of years ago, the spring league. And they had us out there, and man, that stuff was like Mandarin to me. The stuff. I said, how do these kids even know this? Oh, well, they kind of know it. They've grown up on this here, so they kind of know it. They understand the concepts and other. Man, I don't understand anything, man. I can't help you guys. Even the running plays have changed. They don't have as many running plays as they used to, but everything is just. It was mind blowing to me. So at my age, it would be very difficult for me to pick up this new wave offense, and I'm wondering if that's something. Have you given you a playbook or anything yet, so that you can start studying and getting prepared for it?
Nah, they haven't given me one yet. I definitely kind of been bugging Coach Williams about a little bit, man. Send me a little something. Show me a little something. You know what I mean? So I got you. I got you.
Have you gone to mini camps and stuff like that? You've been going to the mini camps, or no? Or it's just during that summer and the preseason? That's it.
That's it. Because everything is going to be shortened. So my thing is, I know football. When I say I know football, I really pay attention to it. I know Andy Reid wants some deep, intermediate, and short, and then he wants some coming across a drag or something like that. Any type of concept that he does. You always gonna have a check down, so forth, so on. So it's just learning what he calls everything and just being on the same page with it. I'm definitely not worried about the terminology because I know I'm so excited to be there, I'm gonna pick it up real quick. And then if I forget something or I need to remember something, as I used to do as a player, I'm just gonna take my wrist and write it on there when I go out there to practice. You know what I mean? Right. So, and I have it going. But I'm pretty sure with this play call sheet that Andy Reid gets out to everybody, it's gonna be pretty simple for me once I get there. I said, give me about 2 days. I'm gonna probably know majority of it by then.
All right. Well, Jeremy, do you have any questions for Torri?
Yeah, absolutely. There are 3 routes that never change in the NFL. There's the flats, the wheel route, and of course the screen pass route. And everybody, the average fan doesn't realize that the flat route is just 2 yards past the line of scrimmage, so it's a forward pass, whereas the screen's behind the line of scrimmage, and it could be considered a lateral depending on whether the running back is behind or in front of the quarterback when he throws it. So that's the difference between those. With the screen pass, it goes forward. The other one, it's considered a pitch. But anyway,
shuffle pass.
Yeah, shuffle pass. But that being said, I'm in awe that you made it, and it's something you have there on your shirt that I want to address. That building blocks.
Building blocks.
When you work with performance enhancement for athletes trying to get in the NFL, you're setting the building blocks of their foundation for their future in this industry. So the fact that you've done that means that you're ready for this next step. You've just been waiting for your opportunity and you've got it. God bless you. I hope it all works out for the best. Whether it stays with the Chiefs or you move on to be an actual running backs coach or an assistant offensive coordinator or something later on, God bless you. And I hope you have a very long career.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. And that's what it is. It's all about building blocks. You know, like I said, I wear this shirt proudly. My brother in Memphis he's been doing this for a long time, and I'm always supporting them. I'm a part of the organization with them. You know, it's in Memphis and in Arkansas, it's in Washington, and it's the same as players. You know, it's down here in Florida. He actually helps out with some of the Little League and everything, and Metro by T-Mobile, Nike. I mean, he has so many sponsorships that is big. Now, with me going to Kansas City, it's actually going to become even bigger because we're going to take it to Kansas City, too, and help the kids out as well.
Well, you know, I talked to you about, you know, my college coach, Coach Williams, and, you know, when he left UCLA, he went out to Philadelphia. Ray Rhodes was the coach, and Ray Rhodes only got 1 year, and Andy Reid came in. They kept him on the staff. And I don't remember how many years he ended up coaching in the NFL, but all he was trying to do was get 5 years in so he could get that pension. That's all he was trying to do is get 5 years in. It ended up being much more than that, probably 20 years or something like that. He ended up coaching. A long time he ended up coaching. But his wife got in real tight with Lurie's wife, if I'm not mistaken. So, I mean, and then, he talks about Andy all the time and how they're just so thankful to Andy for the opportunity that he was given because they didn't have to keep him on the staff. And then obviously the opportunity that he's given his son there as well, who is a very good college football player as well.
Yeah.
So you're going to a good organization. That business, it's about what you know, but it's also about who you know. So you got to make sure that you find out who you need to know. And you're with a good one right now with Dan Williams. You're with a good one because he's there because Andy, Andy had a relationship with his father, and he's like Andy's right-hand man. So you're with a good one. Jake, did you have any questions?
Yep. Okay, I've got one nice.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Torri.
You want to say
one because you said about who you know, and I want to stress that. Because it's in my heart that I gotta put it out there, and I'm gonna always say the legendary John Wooden. Mr. Wooden has been by my side.
Now, how did you meet him? You said he's been mentoring you for about 2 years. So how did you come across him?
I met him because me and Coach Hugh Jackson was working together on training athletes when I was training Travis. When I was training Travis Etienne, and me and Coach Jackson sat down and talked. And I told him, I said, I want to be in the NFL. I want to get into scouting and so forth, so on. Whatever I need to do, I need to do. And he said, well, I know who to point you in the right direction. And he gave me Mr. Wooden's number. And when I called, we talked like he'd known known me for 30 years. You know what I mean? And that was open for me. Me being in the position that I'm in came from Mr. John Wooden.
So how did that conversation go? He wanted to know your background. He wanted to know what you've been doing.
Mm-hmm. He wanted to know my background, what I've been doing, why do I want to be in the NFL? And then the crazy part is he was asking me about player evaluation. Mm-hmm. Some of the players that I've trained, and even Travis and so forth that I had, some of the guys that I've been training. And he saw that I was kind of spot on and I was very, very detailed in it. He said, yeah. He got that deep voice. Yeah, I could see you doing this, Torri. I could see you doing this, Torri. So, and right there, we've been talking ever since. He's reached out to several guys before, and it didn't work out. And I hate it didn't, but, that's something that I address, one day again. But when he reached out to Coach Reid, it was not a problem.
That's good. Jacob, go ahead. I'm sorry to interrupt you.
Let me say this. Let me ask this because I've been a tutor, mentor, one-on-one person, done volunteer basketball coaching, those sort of things. So I've been a teacher before. You know what I'm saying? Other than the classroom. I want to ask this as somebody who, you're now the first time in the NFL, but you've coached people for many years in different ways. I want to ask this as a coach. What do you think is the number one skill as a coach? The skill of the knowledge of the game itself, or the skill with people?
I said the skill of people. I honestly said the skill of people. And
so what's the reasoning for that?
The reasoning in that was my small stint with Mike Martz. You know, when I talked to Mike Martz, who was the head coach of the Rams and the Greatest Show on Turf, the offensive coordinator of the Greatest Show on Turf, and he told me face to face, because me and Isaac Bruce used to work out together, and he helped me get up there with the Rams for a second. But he told me, he said, you know, one thing about me, he said, my system is great, but I'll try to find what's best out of my players to help fit my system, not make my system fit my players. I want my players to fit my system. And that right there took me a long way. You know, it showed me that he actually, because all players are not capable of doing all the things, even if they're pros. So I want to know what they're good at, and I'm gonna adjust my system to fit them, and that's how you even got the Greatest Show on Turf right there.
So what happened in Detroit? What happened when he went to Detroit?
What happened when talking about Mike Martz?
Mike Martz, yeah. What happened when
he didn't have them players? he didn't have that one. He didn't have that 28 in the backfield back there now.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
I just have one more question. Just one more. Okay, and someone that's like you, who's been around the game a very long time, that knows the game as well as you do. What do you think is the main difference between? And Mel could actually answer this also. You were in the league, so to answer this thing. What do you think is the main difference, say quarterback, running back, any of those, wide receiver, anything? What do you think is the main thing that makes the difference between a number one and a number two player? And because if you're in the NFL, you are the top of the top of the top of the top. But then you get the 1, the 2, the 3, no matter what you get. What do you think is the difference of who gets there and who doesn't? The starter.
As a starter, out there, who can handle the most pressure?
Okay.
Who can handle the most pressure?
It's trust.
It's being able, like a lot of people, if you just kind of look at Bryce Young this year and CJ Stroud this year, both of them are smooth operators. You know what I mean? But then you look at a guy like Max Dugan, he was a grinder. He was a grinder. He gonna run crazy. He gonna be all over the place. He gonna be that old Doug Flutie back in the day. You know what I mean? So forth, so on. But it's more of who can handle the pressure, who can get the game to slow down at their pace and be adjusted very quick in the NFL game, because everybody running 4-4-4-3 now. D linemen, linebackers, safeties, everybody linemen are running fast times right now. So I feel like it's who can handle the pressure, who can absorb all the information, retain it quick, and be able to allow their skills to take over when they have that pressure.
It's like you said, it's a trust thing. And we talked about this a couple of weeks ago. There's a lot of talented guys, and I know you've seen a lot of talented guys that never got an opportunity to play because they just didn't have the coach's trust. You know, is he going to do what he's supposed to do on this given play? You know, if you're supposed to block, is he going to not only know who to block, but is he going to be able to execute that block as well? If you can't pass protect, you're not going to be out there this day and age. You know, running downs only. But if you can't pass protect, and you got a $50 million quarterback back there, they're not going to take a chance on a guy that they don't feel very comfortable with and have him out there, and then you end up getting this guy hurt, and then your season goes down the tubes. We just had being that you're a running back, I'm a running back, and we just lost a great Jim Brown, man. I mean, that's a big one, man. That was heavy, man. That hit me hard, man. My dad had taken a picture with him and had sent it to me, and I had put that post on Facebook. But in looking at, and I kind of go back and look at things, and I looked at when Jim was drafted. He was drafted 6th overall, and the guy who was drafted 1st overall was Paul Hornung. So I looked at his numbers and I looked at Jim Brown's numbers, and they played the same amount of time. Paul Hornung retired 1 year after Jim Brown, because they played the same amount of time, but he had that 1 year where he was suspended for that gambling. And Paul Hornung only had 700 more yards than my dad did. My dad played 7 years. Paul Hornung had 700 more yards than my dad did, and he's in the Hall of Fame. I'm like trying to figure this out. And maybe Scott, because you're the elder statesman here, you can maybe shed a little light on this here. How is Paul Hornung in the Hall of Fame? When Jim Brown retired, so he was a leading rusher when he retired, 1965. Paul Hornung retired in 67. I think Paul Hornung might have been at that time the 26th leading rusher in the league.
Right.
Never had a 1,000-yard season. Led the league in touchdowns 1 year. I mean, I could lead the league in touchdowns. You give me the ball at the 1 yard line, I could do that too. So I'm trying to figure out. Maybe you guys can help me. How is Paul Hornung in the Hall of Fame?
Off his name.
I'll give you the answer to that one.
Probably the system.
Go ahead, Jacob.
I'll say probably. I'm just going to say this: probably the championships, and probably the championships, and probably the system. You got to remember, it was that power sweep, and they went through. And
he had 3,700 yards in 9 years.
No, agreed. I'm just telling you what goes in, and you brought it up yourself, Torri. Politics. It's always been around.
Yeah, there's no question about it. I'll leave that for another time. But Torri, who's the running back that you aspired to be like? Who was your idol growing up?
What? That's too easy. That's Barry Sanders.
Barry Sanders.
That's Barry Sanders. How could I not? But see, the crazy part is, I have a list of players. Like it's like every year was somebody different. The crazy part, it started off with Rocket Ishmael. Well, I ain't even gonna go to Rocket. I'm gonna say it was my cousin. My cousin was the coldest thing since Swiss cheese. Okay. You know what I mean? But he got to Vanderbilt. He tore up Vanderbilt and tore his knee the first game. Okay. Or whatever. And then that's when, I kind of started looking at other players, but it turned to Rocket, David Palmer, Warwick Dunn. Barry Sanders is just ridiculous. I can go back to the great Gale Sayers. I remember when I was pushing my stuff out and I called Chicago and he ended up answering the phone. And I was stunned. He was like, yeah, this Gale Sayers. I'm like, what? Like the man? Seriously. Right. I love the Swiss Army knife at running back. I love it. We had them bruisers. We got them downhill runners. But I love them Swiss Army knives at running back. From the Marshall Faulks, the Gale Sayers, the LaDainian Tomlinson, the Roger Craigs. I can go down the list. But who I used to kind of like really put my game under and I played like was probably Brian Westbrook. Okay. Brian Westbrook.
All right, now let me answer your question, okay? Team success has a lot to do with it. The Lions and the Packers, it's safe to say now I've also been at the Super Bowl myself, and there's a lot of politicking going on from one set of beat writers to the other based on city. You get mine in, I'll vote for yours. And there's more behind the scenes that most people realize from the outside. Having been to 4 Super Bowls, I've talked to writers, and let's face it, there's some politics about who will vote for who on a given time. And I think when you compare the Lions and the Packers, well, the Packers have won a lot more. Now, let me incorporate a baseball analogy here, and that's this. The reason why Don Mattingly isn't in the Hall of Fame compared to Kirby Puckett is lack of team success at the wrong time. Because I've been saying from the start, okay, Don Mattingly belongs in the Hall of Fame. Hopefully the Veterans Committee will go out there and get him in at some point. But again, Jacob, as you mentioned, okay, team success has everything to do with it.
Yep. And bringing that part up, we brought up politics. We bring up politics with everything, and it's in fact it's gone on then, it goes on now.
Yeah. I was shocked, because I'm thinking, you think Paul Hornung, the golden boy, he must have been just doing it. I had to look about 10 times, man, and go through it. Okay, well, what was he, a receiver? Did he catch a lot of passes? Okay, he was a quarterback in college? Did he throw some passes? I mean, what made this guy special? He had 700 more yards than my dad did. My dad played 7 years. He played 9. It never had a 1,000-yard season. Nothing was ever spectacular. Led the league in rushing one year. Yeah, I understand he won some titles and stuff like that, but I was floored when I saw that. They came out in the same draft. He was the number 1 overall pick. Jim Brown was the number 6. Jim Brown ended up having 12,000 yards in 9 seasons. This guy had 3,700 yards. Now, he wasn't a first ballot Hall of Famer. I don't think it was until I think it was in the 80s, I think, when he was finally elected to the Hall of Fame, if I'm not mistaken. But it took him a little while to get in there. But yeah, there was some politicking going on there.
Yeah, Floyd Little didn't get in for a while. It took the Veterans Committee to get him in, and we all know how good he was. So I know we can talk about Hall of Fame stuff down the line, and maybe we'll bring Torri on for a little Hall of Fame conversation. I should let everybody know, following Inside the Pigskin, we have the Sports Exchange with myself, Jeremy, John Bonamago, and George Eichhorn as well. So
Mel, I have one quick thing. Mel, one thing also is at least the politics had to do back in those days with winning of that thing. We're just bringing that part up. At least it had it there. Now you're going to have a point where you can even win, and if you don't fit somebody, they'll take the guy that loses if they're more exciting. It's a different type of politics. This is the thing. It's a different type of politics. It's like, if there isn't, because I'm just bringing this point. It's like, it is now a show. More of a show than ever, the NFL. You understand?
It's entertainment. Yeah, it's like the WWE almost. It's almost, it's not scripted, but almost.
It's a show. It's it's the 3-minute TikTok clips that they look for on that kind of stuff. And if you're not generating those, even if you're winning some games, it doesn't matter. And it's like, it's a different type of politics.
All right, let's go to the chat room real quick. All right. Bo, he's part of Inside the Pigskin, says, great show, guys. He follows up with another good comment on Eli Manning. So here you go. The way Eli Manning gets in, rings cause the rest of the stats are average. So there you go. So, what's that, Jeremy?
That is fact, though.
Yeah, no, I know.
I mean, Eli Manning's regular season stats were just average. Regular.
Well, all you got to do is get in. As we're finding out in South Florida, the Florida Panthers, and the Miami Heat have gotten in as ace seeds, and look where they're at. They're on the threshold of a championship. So I know we could go on and on about all of this. But what I want to do is, Mel, you have any closing thoughts to Torri at all?
I want to share, Torri. Jim Brown was one of my favorites. I like the big bruisers, Marion Motley, Earl Campbell. I was a bigger running back. Now, I did wear, and when I was a little bit smaller when I was in junior high school, I did wear Tony Dorsett's number, and I think I shared with you guys before. I was drafted by Denver, and that was the same year that they traded for Tony Dorsett. And I looked at this dude, and I'm looking at this little bitty man. I'm like, this little man was raising all that sand in this league? I mean, this little man, because Tony Dorsett was a little bitty guy. I said, man, I could not believe this guy was raising all that sand. But yeah, Jim Brown was without question, my favorite running back. Yeah, I mean, I wasn't a scat back. So, I mean, I see, and I have a lot of appreciation for Roger Craig. Like you said, obviously, we all were enamored and in love with what Barry Sanders could do, because he did things that they're just not humanly possible. I mean, he didn't have ligaments. He had ball bearings or something in his ankles or something like that to be able to do what he did on the turf. Was unbelievable. I mean, he was video game. The things you do on video games, that's what Barry was. The guys weren't doing that kind of stuff. I mean, that's why you have so many guys blowing their knees out. They're trying to do too much, things that the body was not meant to do. That's why these knees are getting blown out. But I appreciate your time. Appreciate you taking time to answer a couple of questions. I wish you the best of luck. Wish you much success. Please tell Dan I said hello. I just talked to Coach Williams. Well, it was Mother's Day. I just talked to Coach Williams. He's a good guy, man. Good dude, man. Hope you get an opportunity to meet him as well. And back to you, Scott.
All right. Thanks, Mel. Great job. I'll tell you, what's so cool about this format? Me, the journalist, and I have my right-hand man, the athlete. You get a lot of different angles here. And that's why Mel has really moved up the ranks really quickly as one of my co-hosts here, because I know that we give different perspectives. Joshua Bernstein, no, I can't watch the game. I'm out here working, doing these broadcasts, but I'm sure that in our next show on the Sports Exchange, you'll be more than happy, Joshua, when you tune in to give me updates. So, Mel, you've done a great job as my co-host. Hey, you know what, Torri? We broke this guy in with Richmond Webb as his first back. Blew it away. All right, so as we wrap this bad boy up, as I mentioned before, Sports Exchange, top of the hour, George Eichhorn, myself, Smoking Jeremy, and John Bonamago. All right, Jeremy, any quick closing thoughts?
Again, I wish you nothing but success in whatever you do. I'm also a guy that would have loved to have been an NFL scout myself because I love watching game film and breaking guys' stuff down and then doing a pre-draft show. I do it every year. So,
well,
and I'm not saying I'm great at it, but last year I did pretty good. This year, not so much because there was way too many surprises and trades. But last year I had a good second day too. I only got 9 wrong out of both rounds combined.
Woo, that's good.
Yeah.
That's
okay,
good.
We'll switch it over to Jacob. Closing thoughts real quickly.
Well, Mel and Scott, both of you, thank you for having me on this show tonight. Seriously, this was fun. And Torri, I will see you Wednesday. We're going to have some fun on It's Pundit. And just to give you a little thing, Pundit's Pundit is basically anti-fan. It is. But what you were talking about, what I was bringing this part up, what you were talking about with how you break things down, talk about the politics of everything. I like filling in. Again, Scott's on the show, so he knows this as much as anything else. I like breaking things down and filling in blanks. I don't like meathead fan talk. I like going. So I'm so proud to have you on. And Mel, I want to have you on one day.
All right, look forward to it.
You betcha.
All right,
Looking forward to it.
All right, so before I turn it over to everybody else, if you didn't hear me the first time, we'll hear it again, okay? The audio version of Inside the Pigskin can be heard on iHeartRadio, Apple, Spotify, Google, wherever you get your podcasts. Also, check out our website, www.southfloridatribune.com. And you can also follow me on Twitter at Tribune South. Please hit the red subscribe button on YouTube South Florida Tribune. We're striving for 1,000 subscribers. Please also comment, like, and share the broadcast. Want to be a guest? Participate in the chat room. Boy, it's been active tonight. So you can either be in the chat room or send your ideas to southfloridatribune@gmail.com. If you want to advertise cost efficiently, call me, 954-304-4941. We are live on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, and YouTube. Special kudos to Candy Ebling, who does a marvelous job going out there and making sure all the broadcasts and all the content gets on there as well. And again, all crews, I'm very proud of everyone that contributes. And we're certainly looking to build the audience. And the only way you build them is you have great shows and great people. And I'm very blessed to be able to have a lot of good crews that can do a lot of different things. So with that said, okay, Jeremy, why don't you let everybody know how they get a hold of you?
Well, first and foremost, you can find me on the southfloridatribune.com. There's the 3 hash marks in the red title bar that goes across. Click that, go to Motor City Tribune, and I'm under the list of authors. You can also find me on Facebook at my Lions fan page called the Motor City Kneecap Biters. You can find me on YouTube at Kneecap Biting with Smoking Jeremy B. You can also find me on YouTube at SouthFloridaTribune.com. You can find me on YouTube occasionally at Sideline Sports, and you can find me on YouTube also at Let's Talk Sports. Okay, that's all of it.
Is that all? Hey, Jeremy, do you still have your breath? Yes.
Huh? Yeah.
I was waiting for you to tip the cat because you've done it to me before. All right. But that said, okay, Mel, everyone, how they go.
Yeah, you can find me in all the social media at Mel Farr Jr. That's Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram. Find out what we have going on here in Georgia and also up in Michigan for the youth at melfar.org.
All right. Well, I got another Panther fan out there, Blake Lozinski, coming in late with the Panthers. I'm sure we'll get an update. And let's go ahead and talk to Jacob Christner at Jake the Pundit. Go ahead.
Jake the Pundit on Twitter. Jake the Pundit 1 on TikTok. Sunday nights. I am on Basket Bros. Monday nights, normally the Pundit Views, as it's my one-on-one interview. Tuesdays, nothing. Wednesday nights, 3 shows. Pundit's Pundit, the Sports Exchange with Scott, and the Confidential. And then the Thursday night, once in a while, we have a show called Yin and Yang, which is off-topic, off the sports thing. Friday nights, When They Call Me, as a backup thing on the Gauntlet. Also, just started up a Patreon. I started up a Twitch, working on shows with that, and I've got a plus I'm on Inscriber and on the South Florida Tribune as far as published. So a lot of different things going on, and plus a couple movies.
All right. Hey, I want a special shout out for everybody that participated in the chat room. And we had a really nice turnout for tonight's broadcast. I can't thank you enough for being a part of it. Torri Harmon definitely thanks you as well. Torri, why don't you give some closing thoughts about not only the show, but how people can reach you? Bear in mind, when the Sports Exchange is following Inside the Pigskin. Go ahead, Torri.
Well, I don't really have a lot. I just have Facebook and Instagram, but it's Torri Harmon on Facebook and TD Harmon 28 on Instagram. That's how you can find me.
I'll follow you, my man.
I appreciate it. Appreciate it.
Well,
Praying
don't
for you,
worry.
my brother.
Well, I got news for you. We have some work to do Wednesday night on Pundits Pundit. But Jacob, I guess the one thing that's good about this show here is instead of having to do a lot more preparation than you think, you're way ahead of this thing come Wednesday night. So meanwhile, that concludes this edition of Inside the Pigskin. On behalf of Smoking Jeremy B, Mel Farr Jr., Jacob Christner, Jake the Pundit, and my prodigal son, Torri Harmon, because that's what he is my prodigal son. I love this guy.
I love it, man.
But I expect him to do a whole lot more. So, you know what, Torri, these shows get a little long. You'll have a chance to catch your breath. You have about, 47 hours until we do it again. So, on behalf of my incredible crew, yes, Jeremy, what are you going to do? You going to add something to it?
I wanted to say to the guys that were watching from my YouTube channel, don't forget to go search the South Florida Tribune on YouTube. Subscribe, because next we are going to be talking to John Bonamego shortly.
Very good. Thanks for putting that in there, Jeremy. All right, once again, for the final time on Inside the Pigskin, on behalf of Smoking Jeremy B, Mel Farr Jr., Torri Harmon, and Jacob Christner, my name is Scott Morgenroth. Thank you for joining us tonight on Inside the Pigskin. And I'll tell you right now, what we've got here is the Sports Exchange is coming up next. See you then.
Let me tell you this.